I'm just dancing to my own music, you know what I'm saying? Hey, everybody, Spirit 420 here because everything I do is just so damn 420. Let's go ahead and get Twisted right away. That's Twisted. If y'all haven't met Twisted before, that's Twisted. I'm sure you can see why he's called Twisted, or she's called Twisted in this case, because she has this beautiful twist. Just, oh, gorgeous. Someone really worked hard to do that one correctly. Oh, looks like we already have some folks here. Hey, everybody, how you doing? Look at there. We got, excuse me. Hello, Marilyn. How are you? Good to see you. I'm teasing. Marilyn, good to see you. Hey, Dirty. How's it going? That Twisted hit got me twisted right away. Hey, look at there. Grizz, the bear. You know, it's funny, Grizz. Remind me to tell you why I love your name. I don't want to say it on air, but remind me to tell you why I love your name. You'll find it funny. I'll give you this one hint. I know another guy named Grizz, and he too is a veteran. So I was curious if that's just something that maybe happens when you're a big burly dude in the military, or did you get your nickname prior to the military? Think about that one for a minute. All right, so I'm going to make it pretty short tonight. I'll tell you why. I do have a date. It is nice. Normally on a Saturday or a Friday when I do my last live show, you're not going to see. This is your, filled in and nasty, quite frankly. Hey, what's up there? What's up, T? How you doing? But I do have a date. So somebody that I hadn't seen in about 4 months, just to catch everybody up who may not be aware, because I know y'all are probably aware that I have a wife. I am in an open marriage. I have been in that open marriage for over 12 years. We've been together for over 15 years. We used to swing together, and that may happen again sometime, although the pandemic really, how do you say, put a damper on things when it comes to swinging. You can imagine it's one thing to be like, hey, can I see your test that says, that you're, how do you say, clean of all sexual diseases? But can you also give me your vaccine card? And if you don't mind, keep the mask on while you're, doing your thing. Can we just keep to those rules? Let's see if that happens. I don't think that's quite frankly, I just didn't even go out. I was like, I'll just fuck my wife double time. So. And by the way, just so that y'all are aware, when you do meet my wife, and eventually you will, she will be the first one to tell you that she tells me to go out because it gives her little body a break. If I had her as much as I wanted her, I probably would have broken her 7 years ago. So, and I say that with all due respect. She doesn't, I promise she's probably laughing right now. But, some of y'all are like, oh, that's just rude. No, it's not. I mean, we just, I don't hurt people. I'm just saying she would have been done, worn out, not broken because I, twisted her neck or some stupid shit or donkey punched her the wrong way. By the way, on that note, does anybody realize that there is a movie called Donkey Punch? I will just tell you the quick premise of it because you get this much from the trailer. This came out, I want to say around 08, 09. I was still in Clearwater from the 04 to 09 period. I know because I sat and watched the trailer sitting in my apartment office. I should say the office in my apartment. But I kid you not, there's a movie called Donkey Punch. I don't know where it takes place, and what I mean by that is I don't know which ocean, but it takes place on a boat. These two single dudes end up hooking with these two single chicks, what looks to be like at a spring break type affair, or something along those lines, right? Where a bunch of young, anywhere from 18 to 28-year-olds are getting together and just, butt fucking crazy, right? Or crazily butt fucking. I mean, either one. So they meet up. I believe it's the guys. Again, this is all from the trailer. So I believe it's the guys that have the boat, and they take them out onto the boat. So they're out on the ocean, right? And it's actually from the trailer again. And I saw this years ago, so this is all from memory. And if I fucked it up, who gives a shit? It's still fucking funny, and I'm getting it mostly right. Essentially, it is a, what started out as a good time gone wrong kind of thing. So the girl is the one, from what I can tell, that brings up the donkey punch, has the guy do it. The guy does it and he fucking kills her. And then they're, now they've got a problem because they got to kill the other girl. So that's what you get from the trailer, right? Because it goes horribly wrong, like I said. But I mean, what a fucking premise. Like, I'm sorry. So back in the early 2000s is when Donkey Punch came about to the world. And let me put that away. I'm sure punching donkeys was around long before we talked about it. Right? It's just hilarious. Who else? What do we else? You got a perfect excuse for a little break, right? Exactly. It is. And the last one. Do you know what a donkey punch is, by the way? If for those of you who don't know, I'm going to tell you really quickly, and I'm sorry if it offends, but essentially it's while, hence the reference to butt sex, while having sex, and it really can be anybody, so female and male, while having anal sex, you essentially punch them right in the back of the neck to knock them out, and that causes their perky to get really perky and squeeze your penis. So, yep, I haven't tried it. It just sounds, quite frankly, a little dangerous to me. And I don't really see how the person getting donkey punched would have a whole lot of fun. I mean, they're literally knocked the fuck out. Like, that's, unless I'm somehow misreading the definition of it. Now, again, I haven't looked this stuff up. One other side note in a while, and what I didn't meant to finish that. I haven't looked this stuff up in a while. I think the last time I looked any of it up was probably around 2011 or so. And I may be wrong on that because somebody can look it up, but I'm pretty sure it's Puscifer. And that's Keenan's other band. For those of you who don't know who I'm talking about, that's Tool. Lead singer Maynard has two other bands, 13, Perfect Circle. I don't know why I said 13. Oh, because that's right. The first album was 13. Perfect Circle and Puscifer, which is kind of funny because they both start technically with P. I mean, you don't really count the A, right? So it's Perfect Circle and Puscifer. I always thought that was funny how the other two, because they're like right beside each other always when I'm looking at my collection. Oh, babe, you fucking did wonderful on the coffee tonight. Anybody else in here? Coffee drinkers? I do a space called Coffee Weed God. And if you guys get on Twitter, you should join that space because it's essentially the same atmosphere. And I know a lot of you do. It's the same atmosphere. The only difference is you're able to actually talk instead of just chatting with me. All you got to do is raise your hand. I think the way I do it now is as soon as you come in, I send the invite to you to be a speaker. So you have the choice of speaking. The only thing I ask is, raise your hand, be polite. Don't call me a dickhead more than once. By the way, a shout out just real quick to all the guys at UG, that's Urban Growers. They have continued just to show kindness. And yesterday I went through some shit, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. I don't dwell on stuff for very long. I try not to. I try to feel it, accept it, and move on and get through those 5 phases as quickly and painless as possible. I try not to go through the anger and denial phase anymore, because quite frankly, you don't need them if you are accepting of what's around you. And once you realize that something has happened and there's nothing you can do to fucking change it, so you might as well come around to accepting it as quickly as possible. It really does help. So anybody that thinks that I'm insensitive or anything like that, I'm not. I just process things differently, and everybody does. I mean, think about, I know some vets are in here. So for those of you who aren't thinking about being a vet, are you going to take time? And I already know the answer from the vets. I'm talking to someone else, but on the battlefield, are you going to take time to fucking, I got an alarm going on. And I know that I may be sounding rude when I say this, but are you going to take time to mourn your buddy who just died or got blown up or whatever the fuck? I mean, you guys have seen so much. No, like at best you might try to get his body so that you can take him back. I know that we never try to, what is it? You never leave, no man left behind. But the reality is the mourning is for later, right? And if you're in real life, I still see it. Here's the other thing too, just talking about battle. And maybe I'm wrong, but to me, if you, there you go, Urban Growers, And they give it right. Bam. Oh yeah. Oh, that was sexual. Sorry. That wasn't to urban growers, by the way. I wouldn't do the finger to you guys. I was just giving it to the audience, just like a little tickle. So, to me, in your real life, right? And what I mean by that is not battlefield. Not that that's fake life. That's that's war life. In civilian life, why waste the time anyway? And what I was going to say is you go back, like, let's just take the scenario that I was saying, right? You're in battle, you lose someone. Well, from talking to these gentlemen, unless it's the last battle of the fucking war, you're going to be going right back out there. And I think any of them will tell you, first of all, they gave them pills for this shit, right? Which I recently just found that out. I don't know if that sounds stupid, but when you watch these movies or not documentaries, I take that back because I don't remember hearing this in any documentaries. I don't know if they're not allowed to say it on air or whatever. But I only recently believed, because I will not say that I just recently heard about it, but I only recently came to believe by firsthand account that these dudes are given receptor blockers, like so that they don't feel fear and all that shit. I may have talked about it on the last show, but it just blows my mind because I always thought that shit was fake. I thought that shit was not fake so much as not being used as prominently as it is. I really thought that was like for some very specific, maybe black ops shits or guinea pig shit where they, it's not necessarily, but apparently this is just now fucking done, like it crazy. Hey, no, absolutely. There you go. Urban Growers, great group of guys. But anyway, back to what I was saying, the bottom line is you cannot mourn. You cannot take too much time to mourn, particularly on the battlefield, because you have to have your head right. And even with those receptors, I can only assume, I know I'm making acid. I can only imagine, right? Then I'm a mag. I'll do it later. I'm mag-in. There you go. Mag-in-E. I can only imagine that even with those pills, it's not like you don't feel the fact that you just lost someone. But again, if you dwell on that or stay with that, you're not going to be prepared for battle. Now, granted, I'm not going out there killing people. I'm just doing shows, right? Well, not just, but I do these shows and I try to motivate, take care of my family. I have a lot of responsibilities. I'm launching stupid number of projects while I'm working a full-time job. By the way, that was not the plan. One just happened on top of the other because it just happened and made sense to do it. But again, when you're talking about civilian life, to me, number one, whoever's passed away, whoever's gone or hurt or whatever, I almost can always believe that they don't want me sitting around moping, number one, right? Number two, what good does that do anybody who's still alive, right? If I'm moping, then shit's not getting done, number one. My kids aren't getting attention. I can guarantee that. My wife's not getting attention. My mother and my father are not getting the minimal attention that they require because they're probably getting none at that point. Even my mom, who lives with me, won't be getting. So, really, it's just a complete. Or let me come back to just two. Who benefits from it? Nobody. And when you go on to three, it's a waste of that energy. Because quite frankly, it's proven that it takes more energy to be upset and angry and all that stuff than it does to be happy, right? Which is, I think, why we fight it, by the way, because it's easier. Everybody knows it's easier to be angry. It's easier to be destructive. It's easier to be all those fucking things, hateful, nasty. That is easier. That's why we do it, right? The more difficult one and the one that feels ultimately, which I kind of find this funny because I don't think I'm the only one. Everybody I've ever asked this to says the same thing. But ultimately, for me, for a long time, feeling happy, like truly feeling like waking up and being happy about the day, that was a foreign fucking feeling to me. I don't know if anybody else knows that feeling. What is this? Hit the fucking mic. I'm sorry, Mike. Sorry. Those that, Jesus. It just, sorry, Grizz. I know it's taking time away from everybody. Those that have passed on know the truth and would want us to continue. Exactly. Like, here's the fact. They have no more worries. Everybody knows that old saying. It's not death that sucks. It's the dying that sucks. They've already gone through the sucky part, right? They're on to greener pastures or whatever the hell you want to call it, you know? Which I'll just go ahead and let that lead into the first. Oh, you know what? Let's go ahead and deal with that first, because then we can be funny for the rest of the time. So, yesterday I got some disturbing news. First of all, most of my family all lives back on the East Coast, and my mother's family is the ones that I talk to. And what I mean by that is, on my father's side, I talk to my father, and I talk to his brother, my uncle there. And nobody else. I don't talk to the aunts. I don't talk to the sisters, the other cousins. Oh, well, I do talk to my uncle's son and my cousin. So the men, and I know that sounds probably sexist, but the women on my father's side of the family are just bitches. I hope you're watching, because I never tell you, but there you go. You fucking bitches. I actually have a really nice word that starts with the same letter as catch up, if you're not aware of how much I can't stand you. Not hate, just can't stand. We got another one here. What do we got? Sorry, truth is most dumbs. Let me silently read that to the audience. Boy, do I have some work to do. By the way, you see the shirt, right? Let me just move this for a minute. There it is. 420. It's not hard to figure out. Dirty dabbing. Nobody puts butter in the corner. All right, what did you throw up here, Derek? Truth is, those that love us the most will miss us the most when we are gone. Yes, you are absolutely correct. In fact, I watch. So let's just get on to the disturbing news, okay? Rather than dwell. Still, bottom line that I was trying to explain is, on my mother's side, I'm quite close with most of those people over there. There's a few exceptions, but there's always exceptions in family, right? That's just the way it is. But I would say like 95% of my mom's side of the family are okay to me. I don't necessarily talk to that many. Probably talk to about maybe 30% of them. Some of them have perished, and that's some of what we're talking about right now. In fact, it's really crazy because my aunt. So let me just say what happened first, and then I can come back, because it always blows me away with this particular nuclear family that I'm talking about here. So yesterday, let's just see what time it was so I can actually give you a good idea of when this started to happen. All right. So there we go. So yesterday, my aunt called, and it was 1:00 p.m. So at that point, actually, the day was going pretty good. I'd done a few texts. I literally just scheduled a space, the Coffee Weed God space. And Joan, Joan, God, if I can get this right. My aunt called, and she said, "Can you get your mother with you?" Which was really weird to me right off the bat, right? Like, she didn't say anything bad. She's like, "Can you get your mom and have her?" Actually, what she says, "Can you get my sister and have her stand beside you? I want her with you when she hears this news." It's already there, right there. I was like, this is not good. This can't be good, right? And then she proceeds to tell us how my other aunt has passed away, except they just found out about it today. or excuse me, she's been passed away for over 2 weeks, and they just found out about it today. Quick side note: my uncle. So this coming up Veterans Day, a day before Veterans Day, my uncle passed. It'll be 2 years this Veterans Day, so a little over a year and a half, right? And she's never been the same. She's been depressed. They were childhood sweethearts that started dating either at 13 or 14, somewhere in there, right? So, I mean, we're talking about a long time, and they had been together for over, I want to say over 45 years. Because my uncle died relatively young. I think he was 63 when he got the cancer, and then 65, 60. He was in his early 60s. I don't think he was 65 even when he passed. Okay. And she's younger than him. And they had one son, my cousin, and he and I were very close growing up. And the weird thing about it is that, and he had his first son. Let me just say this real quick too, so that I stay ahead of the story, and you'll get it here in a minute. But he had a son. His first son, though, was born with some mental handicaps. Let's just say it that way, because he's now, to give you an idea, he's getting close to 30. He's got to be close to 30 just based on all the math. Well over 25. Anyway, he's probably on maybe a 7 at best, maybe a 9 grade or 9-year-old, but I'm thinking more like 7 or 8, just based on knowing him and everything I know. So before I go on with what we found out, you have to know the history, because it's very weird, because all of these folks have gone well before their time. So again, my uncle had a son that was my cousin right before, like literally my first, not wife, but we were married thing, whatever, as she was going into labor with the twins, he died. He was like 32, 33. No, he couldn't have been that old. What am I? Because I was 28 and he was younger than me. So I'm sorry. He was like maybe 25 or something like that. Heart attack. No, it was no. Okay, I'm sorry. I got it wrong. He died later. It wasn't right before labor. I apologize. It is a bad memory. He died later, and he was in his 30s. I take that back. He was in his 30s because I was in my 30s. I think he was about 31 or 32. I am correct. So that would have made me about 34. So he died right before I met my current wife. That's what it was. And maybe it was that he died right before my third was born. That might have been it. I'll have to look that up and get back to you on that. But the point is, he died young. He was not even 33 years old. He died of a heart attack because he was a big, giant dude, like 6'3", 6'4", with just a tiny heart. He had a tiny heart. That's all there is to it. He did not have a big enough heart to withstand not only his body size, but, he smoked and drank and smoked pot. And I'm sure, just like me, he probably did a few drugs along the way. Bottom line is he died very young, and that was always a stress on my uncle. And I always felt bad for that, but they took his firstborn because of the fact of what, the situation. Let's just call him little dude. Okay. So they took little dude, because I'm trying to go nameless and I have all these fucking names to keep up with, or people to keep up with. See if there's a comment over here. Oh, it's okay. It really is. I'm being very, very sincere, Norma, when I can tell you, I know for a fact she is happier. She was not happy here. It had not been the same. I'm sure you can imagine. She probably didn't have much recollection of life without each other, And I just wanted dirty. I don't know if you'll see in that, but there you go. And then last, there we go. Sorry, I didn't know where I was. I clicked on it. Yep. So they have little dude, and then, like I said, not too long ago, my uncle fought cancer for a good solid 3 years, and they originally told him he had 6 months. So kudos to him. He was not ready to just give it up and check out, and I'm proud of him. And by the way, if I haven't said it before, this is my uncle on my mother's side, who is a veteran, enlisted veteran for the Army. Or no, I'm sorry. What am I talking about? No, yes, the Army. Yep, he was in the Army. My mother's stepdad was in the Navy. That's how my mom and my dad, the whole Navy thing. So my uncle passed. It's now over a year and a half later, and it's just little dude and my aunt. And what's funny is she had just told my other aunt recently something about, there's all the, I don't want to get into all those specifics, actually. Let me just say this. There is still, right now, there are so many questions because she was dead for more than 2 weeks. So just to be, being very gut level honest, there was already decomposing happening. Anybody who's heard 2 weeks has to understand that stuff already started to happen with her body, right? I don't know how this kid survived. I don't feel like, I don't believe anybody would call himself sufficient, but somehow he survived for more than 2 weeks in there without an adult. Sheriff's department came by day before yesterday. Almost knocked out. Day before yesterday. And she lays on the couch. She sleeps on the couch, and that's where she died, was on the couch. And you can see the couch from the front window, but they apparently couldn't tell that she was decomposing, and he wouldn't let them in because that's what his mentality is, not to let a stranger in, and he couldn't wake up my aunt. So very weird, right? What ended up happening is he went to the neighbor's house finally yesterday to call his real mother and say he couldn't wake up my aunt, and everything was discovered. What was also discovered, though, is that somehow my uncle's computer, which was dear to him and he wanted us to have it, he wanted my mother and his sisters to have it because it had all of his service records, what he did. And I really need to, I really need to, just feels like a dick sometimes in the face. I really need to get his history from my mother as far as his Army history, because I think there was a few things that he did. Like most men, if you go through and make it, you've probably done something worthy in that time. I didn't say all, guys. I said most. But the computer was gone and the dog is gone. And all I will tell you right now until I find out more is obviously we're waiting on the autopsy report. We want to find out what she actually died from, obviously, right? And let's just say there's some sketchy family involved, and I'll leave it at that. So updates will be coming. I did have a bad day yesterday. In fact, I was going to do my space still, just to give you to back up. I scheduled that space and I was still going to do it. I told everybody I was going to do it until it came down time to do it, because last night's space, I had always intended to take some polka dot chocolate bars, the Twix flavor. If anybody wants to look that up, then you'll understand. But these are of the, let's just say, it allows you to take a trip from yourself. And that was the whole plan. I was going to be in a really, right there at a very high level, a very open level. And I still wanted to try to do that. I thought that I was past it enough. But in the simplest of terms, I was not. I wasn't depressed. I wasn't crying, but I definitely wasn't in a mood that anybody would give a shit about what I was saying, probably, because I would have just rambled on. I mean, not that I don't already ramble on now, but it would have been, incoherent. So I missed some here. Here's one. Okay. Oh no, I got that one. I think I missed this one of a heart attack. I did miss that. 33. I don't think my cousin was even 33. I think he was 32 or 30. I mean, either way, heart attack at that age is just, it's usually quite, I mean, not only is it quite rare, but like there's usually some kind of, quality. I got it. And last but not least, understandable. So we'll find out more. I am content with where things are at. The one nice thing that I can say, that the two most important things were salvaged from this, and that was little dude as well as my uncle's ashes. Funny enough, we still have the ashes due to the pandemic. The sisters have not been able to get together. That's going to be happening here soon, which you'll hear about when mom leaves town. But now they'll be able to be spread together, which is kind of nice. So, because my aunt and uncle will be, their ashes will be together, which that was not originally the plan, even though I promise you, she wanted to die with him. And in essence, a part of her will. So that's that part. You always got to find the silver lining. The other thing too is she's out of misery, man. She was just not happy. And I bet we'll come back in a year. That's how it works, right? But I bet I should have a strange suspicion that he will ultimately be better off. Little dude will ultimately be better off. She was in her late 60s. He will probably be with somebody who's younger. And if he doesn't, then I know you may think this is crazy, but he'll go to a home with other kids that are like him, where he will have an opportunity to thrive and have company, where it was just the two of them. So all the attention, had to come from her. And I'm sure everybody gets that. I think ultimately he would rather have 3 friends in a lockdown situation than have just his aunt in a lockdown situation, because that's just, still essentially what he was. And I don't even mean there, but I mean, it's not like they did a lot. She wasn't that mobile. She's getting older. You get the picture. All right. So let's move on. I do appreciate all the prayers, all the positive vibes, all the things that everybody says. I so appreciate it. I can't begin to tell you. I think I said it the other day, but I'll just have a better chance to say it now. For those for the vets that are still here, I know some of you guys have to go do things and you're only able to check in. So, and I have no problem with that, man. That was one of the things I said this morning, is never feel pressure for me. When I put out the announcement that I'm going, I'll just tag 2 things here. We'll let that happen. All right. So there's never pressure, is the one thing I want to say. There's never pressure from me to come and watch me live, to feel like you have to show up, or hell, you don't even have to like the post. Fuck it. I mean that. Like, there's no pressure. I don't expect. I try to go with no expectations. Obviously, we all know that I'm how do you say, fucking lying to myself to say that I don't have any, right? But I do my best in keeping them under control. I know. Thank you, Strange Bird. I guess that would only make sense that you would be the one to comment, since you are a strange bird, and that is my little strange bird. The other thing I was going to say real quick about the support. Took my glasses off. I do that all the time. Put them on and then take them off for another reason. The support that these guys give, I think that's what I was going to say, is just, it's tremendous. And I don't know if I said it correctly the other day, but in real life, even at my height of number of friends, right? And that would actually not be any time in my recent life. Let me just say that. I'll put it to you like this. Had I died 2 years ago, there might be 12 people at the service. I think that would already be different today. I told my wife the other day, I was like, if I were to die today, I think that somehow I would be, remembered, just because I have all this stuff, especially on, if I was killed in a particular way, like maybe murdered or something. But that's not the point. My point is, the support that I got at this point in my life was greater, and is greater every time I put out a problem, and I don't ask for anything other than positive vibes and prayers, right? But the amount of people that respond to that, and I don't even ask that, by the way, from the urban growers. I just go in there and tell them, and I probably should ask for prayers because I got called out the other day, like, you can't drop a bomb like that and fucking run out. Because I just thought, I was like, my aunt's dead, strange circumstances, gonna be dark for a bit, something like that. It was kind of, I wasn't trying to be cryptic. I was just trying to get it out, and I hadn't taken the polka dot yet. Just so you know, guys, I was just in that place. No, but again, the support. All I was trying to finish up is that in my entire 50 years on this fucking place that we call Earth, never had so much support as I've gotten each and every day I continue to do this. And I'm talking about when something goes down. Obviously, I've never had the kind of support that I have for what I'm doing, even for jobs, because usually those I'm still, I was managing maybe 25 guys at the very most ever, so. Did I get you? I got, so yeah, I don't know. What do we got here? I'm sorry to hear that. Everybody, if we could send some positive vibes to Norma. I know that she like all of us deals with different things. She also deals with some stuff herself, and positive vibes can never hurt anybody, right? Never. But yeah, never had that much support in my life. I said it to my wife like this when we, y'all have heard about the fact that she got hit by a car and was nearly killed. I'm going to make the story quick. I promise I'm not going more than an hour. I promise. Okay. I'm crossing my fingers. It's a joke. When my wife was hit by the car and we were losing everything before we actually lost everything, I tried to do a GoFundMe, but I knew like 3 people. How can you do a GoFundMe? I was told, I was like, not to put any kind of omen. I even knocked on wood and I'll knock again. But if something like that were to happen to anybody in this family today that started to take us down financially, I just feel like it wouldn't, I'm not saying that it would blow up, but I feel like we would probably get enough to that was a hell of a dab. I didn't expect it to be that much. I have a feeling we would get by. Just from some of the friends I know here, because they've already been like, dude, you would never have to worry about money. And that you folks know it's not about money. What I'm trying to use is the comparison of the whole point of this, and you're going to like it. In 2016, even though it was a bad time, and what happened was definitely, I wouldn't say it was my wife's fault or anybody's fault for that matter, other than maybe the young kid going too fast, and even him, it was late at night. I've taken that curve at the exact same speed, if not faster. I've said it 100 times. It's not about fault. I don't think the universe felt like I deserved it. Put it that way. And I know it was my whole family, but what had I fucking done for anybody? Up to that point, I was 44. And I already told you I only started this process 4 years ago. It's not hard to do the math, folks, right? So that only started at 46 years old. I was still, the awakening, I will not lie, it started right after she was hit. So it was necessary too. I tell you, everything happens for a reason. If she hadn't got hit, I wouldn't be here today for so many fucking reasons. I mean, number one, just on the fucking we got a settlement. That's how we fucking left, right? But all kinds of other reasons, because I literally had an awakening. I had to hit a bottom. I'm now at a different place where I feel like if I put the hand out for support, for real support, I feel like I wouldn't drown. You know, that's the only point that I'm trying to make. And it's because I've put myself out there, and I still have a long way to go. I mean, I've only been in this 2 months. I was looking at it. I've only been 2 months, and look at what all has happened. I can't wait to see 2 years. I really hope I make it to see 2 decades. My goal is the rest of my life, so I'm hoping that is at least 2.5 decades, 25 years. But it is amazing to feel that kind of support. And I'll tell you this: open your heart. Open your heart is my tagline. It's, nobody realizes how normal strange is, right? The whole point of that is that if we open our heart and show everybody who we are, you're going to find out we're all somehow or another connected and just alike, 6 degrees. I mean, I've come back around, so I'm not going to get into all that right now. Plus, I have a clock ticking away. But all I can tell you is it is a different feeling. And, I alluded to it earlier, but I don't remember waking up and feeling happy until about the last year and a half. Maybe there was times starting 2 years ago, but really for about the last solid 18 months, I can say 90% or more of the time I wake up, and even though I'm in pain and it's hard, it's funny. My mom, I walked down this morning and my mother goes, did you get some good sleep? I was like, I haven't had that in 5 years. I fucking piss like 7 times a night. I mean, that's just one of them. That's due to age, drug use, kidney destruction. I mean, you fucking name it. Thank you very much. That's very sweet. You're gonna fucking make me. I appreciate it. It continues. I missed that one. I'm sorry. I missed a couple. I missed this one up here. I know. I know. I knew what you meant, brother. I knew what you meant. Believe me. So all I can say is it is amazing because again, I don't get good sleep. I don't. How is that possible? And what I mean by that is, how is it that I'm so happy with life now that, I mean, the physical pains, I remember when I was unhappy with life, they felt so much worse. Does anybody know that feeling? Am I the only one? I don't think so. I'm going to stop talking about it now and go on to this story that's the title of today, because otherwise I will literally ball up. So let's move on. Today's story, I haven't told a really good story like this, and what I mean by this is this one's funny. I think it's funny. Obviously, I didn't kill my mother. I've been talking about her, so this has to be a funny story, right? What year did Sling Blade come out? Somebody find that, and then I'll set the premise. You know what? Fuck that. I got it. I'm going to be faster because by the time you guys hear that, I'll already have it. Sling Blade, 1996. All right, so here we are. I was trying to remember the year because if y'all have been following the story, and what I mean by that is if y'all have been following along, even in the last 5 videos, I told both my parents to fuck off at 22. That was 94. And I told you the first one that I brought back in was my mother, and it was around 2.5 years later. As a matter of fact, right after we started talking again, Sling Blade came out. Quick premise: if y'all have never seen Sling Blade, it is about a guy that at the beginning of the story, he does, tell the story of the fact that he killed his mother, basically because I guess he saw her as a slut, if I remember. It's been so long. But again, that's how the movie starts. For those of you who don't know, by the way, I'm going to let this one sit for a minute and see if anybody knows this. Dude, look at that, man. Thank you, Grizz. I like the way you talk too, man. I mean that. You know, I was always told that I should have been a DJ. Anybody here agree? We'll find out that. That's the first question. We'll see how many people agree. How many people are paying attention? Who's still in the room and hasn't fallen asleep from this fucking dude talking, right? Holy shit, almost dropped the cup. So, 1996, Sling Blade. Couple of things to bear in mind. I was now a straight up drug lord. And I mean, drug lord. By this time, I had freaked my mother out. I'll give you a couple of quick stories here. So by this time now, I had totally freaked my mother out. And this adds to it. I mean, you have to understand this adds to it. But before we went to go see Sling Blade, I came by. She wanted some pot. And I had just done one of my commercial runs, and this one was actually an exceptionally big one because I'd gotten to the point where I just did it every day and did like 20 at a time. That was when I finally got it takes time to get to that. But this was I think I had 50 in the bag. I literally had a fucking hefty bag with 50 bricks of marijuana that were about that thin, about yay big. Okay. So that's a pretty big fucking Santa bag. So I didn't walk in with that at first. I came in and she's like, did you bring pot? I was like, yeah, but I wanted to come in first. I think I came in first. I don't have to ask her. Maybe I just walked right in. That probably would have freaked. I can't remember. It seems like I walked in and said something and then went back out and got the bag. I think it was my mentality just to make sure that everything was cool, considering it was 50 pounds. But I had literally just come back. And what you got to understand is I lived in one city and mom was in another where I actually picked up stuff, right? So it made sense to just pick it up, go by and give her some of it because I knew she wanted some. But she was not prepared for me to open that trash bag, that hefty fucking bag, and just pull out 1 pound. I don't know that the woman had ever seen a pound, much less 50. This now just slapped the fucking reality into this woman of where I had gone over the last 2 years. Because before that, I think at best she had heard me talk about maybe 2 or 3 pounds. I don't even know that I talked about pounds. I think I talked about like getting a pound and breaking it up into QPs, right? Like that's the extent of it. And here I am with fucking 50 pounds. Okay, so I missed some like oh shit, you guys. Norma will talk, by the way. I'll tell you that right now. I love you, Norma. You have great vibes. There we go. Yep. All right. I think I got all of them. Oh, get out of there. That's what she said. That was too easy, folks. Sorry. Get out of there. So here we are, 1996. This movie is out. My mom now has a full understanding of what kind of a drug dealer I am. She also knows that I carry a gun. And, you know, I would typically pull out wads of cash like that, right? That was just standard issue, carrying around money, gun, and always a ton of weed. By the way, remind me to tell y'all about the original Longhorn. I built that when I was an early drug dealer. Just somebody type Longhorn in there so I don't forget. I'll make it quick. This is almost over, I promise. That's what he said. That's a good one. Oh man, that one's cracking me up. This is almost over, I promise. That's exactly how he said it too. Then he looked her in the eye and made a vinegar strokes. So here's how the story goes before we went. 3 quick facts. Remember, my mother's gay. I went to her and I said, you've got to go see Sling Blade. There is a scene in this movie that just 100% makes me think of you, just through and through. Like, makes me think of you. And just for the folks out there, well, you know what? I'll leave that fact. We'll just stop there. So we go to the theater. It's myself. What I call it, Lola. How do I fucking remember that? That's amazing. No, I was not a real name. And myself, and we're sitting there. I think it was just the 3 of us, or I might have had another friend. I can't remember. I would lots of times have. I mean, by this time I kind of had a little entourage, so it wasn't uncommon for me to have a tag along. Plus, Mom actually came to my town. So I was in my element and we went to my theater. And this was either the second, it wasn't the first. So I think it was the second time that she had come there, since we started talking again, which to kind of give you some context, I think this whole time frame from first seeing her again and to us going to Sling Blade was maybe 3 months. I don't even think it was that long. I'll have to look up the actual date of Sling Blade and I'll have a better idea. So we're there. Everything's good. We're high as shit, by the way, because, and I mean, when I say that, again, my mom was not quite used to the way that I lived at that point. And even though she was a stoner for many, 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 many years and more than me, by this time I was probably almost caught up to the amount of marijuana that she smoked. And I did a lot of it in that day right before the movie. But I had her good and ripped. That's the point. So she's high as hell. She's abnormally high for her state of being. We're at a movie that her son has said, there's this scene that reminds me of you. Now, anybody that remembers the movie, here it is. The beginning of the movie is like 10, maybe 15 minutes of Billy Bob Thornton and the crazy fucking news. Man, I got mustard biscuits. Dude is fucking creepy, man. I could do the face even better if I tried for a minute. My family does not let me do it. They really don't like it. I used to do that face and just say mustard biscuits. Because of this story. So he's sitting here telling a story, and here's the key. The story is about him taking a sling blade and basically almost cutting his mom's head in half with it, right? Like, ding. Well, while the story's happening, right when he says that, he's telling that story to the. Oh, I meant to ask you all a question. First of all, do you remember that was actually a short? Sling Blade was a short. Here was the trivia question, and we have just a little bit of time. What female, who played the female in the original short? Don't look it up. Don't be a douche. Just fucking try to have fun with it. You either know it or you don't. What was the female actress's name that played in the short that interviewed Billy Bob Thornton in the original short? It wasn't the same one, just so you know, that was in the film. Unless I got him backwards. Doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure I did. So anyway, I look over right after he talks about the fact that he, he's killed his mom. I look over at my mother, and she is just like, shh. I kid you not. I don't know why, because I never said anything I felt violent. My mother. But she was determined that was what I took her there for, was that this is the scene. I want to fucking kill you. I'm not kidding. That woman was white with fear. And I was like, I just reached over and I was like, this isn't the scene. Oh man, still today, I'm telling you, if she was here and when y'all end up meeting her, she'll tell you she was definitely afraid of her son for about probably what amounted to maybe 30 seconds, but that's got to be the worst 30 seconds in your life when you're sitting beside a guy who's your son, who you think just in a fucked up way told you he wants to kill you, right? So, yeah. For context sake, my mom is gay, as I told you. The scene that reminds me of my mother is when John Ritter, who plays a gay male, is doing a toast at the dinner table, and he just starts crying because that's exactly the type. I was like, that's the scene. You're emotional. You being emotional, Mom. Not me trying to fucking kill you. Oh my God. That's funny. That's hilarious. You don't have to explain yourself. You're awesome. Okay, let me just take a minute. I'll come back to the laughing. I'm sure that some of y'all are still laughing because that is fucking. Could you imagine your mother? I mean, just think about that for a minute. Your mother thinks wouldn't that be the worst 30 seconds? Like all of a sudden you're sitting beside somebody you think wants to kill you, and this is the fuck. That would be a fucked up way, number one. And that would be, if you wanted to kill your mom, maybe a fucked up way you would decide to do it, right? She had so much fear in her for 30 seconds. And I've always thought about that because that's, I didn't think about it back then nearly as bad. I said, this isn't the scene, let her go. And then I kind of didn't think about it. It's only years later that it's really dawned on me. Actually, especially becoming a parent. And I was like, wow, that was like a horrible 30 seconds, right? But let me say this, Norma. As long as you're not being a douche, and you should probably understand the context, somebody please write a message so I can continue and explain, because she has missed, I think, the last 3 shows, and it happened on the last 2 shows. Dirty, for a fact. But Norma, I've had a few trolls come in and just hit it where they're, what the fuck is the word? They just keep spamming, and like one guy got up to 15 messages before someone else said anything. And that was in 3-minute time period. So I was really more talking to everybody else. And please know that I do not want you to change one piece of who you are. You engage, you have positive vibes. And well, the rest between you and me, right? Oh, I already did that one. Sorry. I gave it to you already. That's it. She was stoned as shit. She was fucking full of fear. She thought that her I mean, I don't even know if she thought of me as a drug lord, but I promise you, she looked at me like now what she saw in the movies. Like it has to be. I mean, like everything that you've ever seen in the movies up until, 1996, when I walked in with 50 pounds, I'm pretty sure that was the most she'd ever seen, and probably close to the most she'd ever heard of, even in the films. There's a lot of dope. Now, this was shit weed. I want to be very specific on that. This was what we called back then commercial Mexican brickweed, or swag. We would call it Mexican swag as well. It was swag if it literally was not in a brick. I think I said it before, though. One of the best, most potent bricks I ever got was actually one that was like this thick, because they would compact some of these. And I kid you not, it was this round, and I got 6 discs. And this was early on. This was not. This was like early on in the days. And I say that because once we got to those, when I was doing 50 and 20, I didn't really look at the shit. I just fucking got it and passed it out. And I mean that, but back in the day, because by then I was also smoking my own kind bud. I didn't smoke that shit anymore. Back then I smoked. So each batch, there was a certain amount that came out for the spirit. Damn. But yeah, some of the best weed I ever had. That shit was light green. It's packed like that. And it got me ripped. And funny enough, though, I know that that day, to come back to Mom being stoned, guaranteed that day we were smoking nothing but kind bud, which, by the way, kind bud now is what back then we called anything that was hydroponically grown and had the kind of potency that you see in today's, or close to it. I would say what we were growing back then was probably in like the when I go to a medical place, I get anywhere from 25 to 30. We were probably going on 18 to 20 at the best. I'm guessing still good. I mean, these were two of our strains were straight from the seed banks of Holland, which was the only place you could get seeds back in the 90s, just so that you know. You can go look that shit up. That's it, though. Yeah, I let her off the hook. The scene again was John Ritter toasting. That was my mom. And with that, I already said it once, but I'll say it again. Most people don't realize just how normal strange is. Most people don't know how strange normal is, really. You could say it back the other way. Yep, it works. That's what's kind of cool about the saying, isn't it? That's how it happened, by the way. I was saying it to a friend, and I turned it back around. I was like, it actually sounds better like this. And he was like, you need to write that shit down. That should be your tagline. I was like, oh, yeah, it should be. Fucking cool. All right, let's do it. Here we are. Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And on the next episode, I will tell you more about that. But until that time, quick update. I do need to say this. This will not take long. I am taking a week off. So today is Sunday, or Saturday. Come on. Thank you. Open up. So I will be back on, because that is Saturday. I will be back on Tuesday the 5th with a live YouTube. On the 4th, and I'll go ahead and schedule this so people can start, if you want to, you'll just ask me for it and I'll DM it to you. Or if you know me, ask me and I'll text it to you. But we'll do a space, Godween. By the way, the reason I say that is because one of my favorite bands is Ween. Their first album was called God, Ween, Satan. Fucking great album. I'll do another Coffee, Weed, God space on the 4th at 7:20 p.m. Mountain Time, and then Spirit of 420 will be back. Swag, you got it. I didn't even see that. You got in there. It's good to be the king. I fucking love that. Hey, I'm going to answer the question here. We got 1 second, but does anybody know where that one came from? I'll just say it here in just a second. So I was looking. Did anybody get it? I don't see. All right. I don't see that anybody got it. So it was Molly Ringwald starred in the short, the original short with, and that was at a time, by the way, because that was she was pretty much gone. That was after her time with John Hughes and all those films. So that was all over. But again, I will go ahead and schedule the space probably 1 week away from the space. So on the 27th, I'll schedule the space. It'll be available to bookmark. I will be getting with a lot of the folks over there at UG as well as MVN because we're going to go ahead and schedule up the next times for shows and get some things planned. I want to do some test runs just so that folks hearing it, that way we can make it even better. One of the reasons, by the way, that I'm taking off is, this shit, y'all can't see, but well, yeah, you can. The shit that's in the corner, right? Like this, that, all that shit takes time. It takes energy. I have not been doing it. The thumbnails are so fucking behind. It's ridiculous. One of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing is I now have certain collaborations that I want to build because I can build specific ones, and this could look a lot better when I have those guys on, much like the way, like Dirty, I think you have a really cool frame, if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong, but you have a really fucking cool frame around your, seems like you do on your Twitch. So I want to do some things like that. I also want to be able to use their logos, like my logo is up there, right? So I can do that for these guys when they're on. We might even do I even said it to them, maybe doing a incorporated hybrid logo that since it's a hybrid show that has both mine as well as theirs, Spirit of Urban Growers. Just throwing it out there. Because then I could do the, instead of 420 at the bottom, I could just do so UG. Like OG motherfucker. Shit. That just made me feel good. Anyway, Dank.tube. Go find out what it's all about. Links in there. We're doing registration. First dank ass announcement went out. Dank fucking announcement went out recently. Another dank fucking announcement will be coming out soon. All that stuff is what I'm doing, and all that stuff is why I have to take a little bit of time off from this, because you have no idea. Even though I just sit here and talk for a little bit and then it's done, it's not done. Anybody who knows me knows that even on a day when I don't tweet that much, I'm still tweeting. I'm about to hit 4,000 tweets, and I've only been doing this shit for 2 months and 5 days. So you do the fucking math. It is work, and I have other work, and I have other responsibilities. I do want to say this. You know what? I'll save it. I'll save it. It's nothing. All I was going to do was give a review, but I'll save it. It was a movie review that I haven't done. Flick Dick investigation. I'll save it for another time. Everybody knows, or excuse me, we all know that assholes are much like me, because I just fucked that one up. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has one, and everybody thinks that everybody else's stinks. Mine stink like bad puns and timeouts. No, they stink like home brewed or fresh brewed fucking ground coffee. That probably I won't even get into it. And medical grade, what I once called kind bud. Did you see the nose hairs? I did. Before I leave, I will say this. Whenever anybody wants, please send me a question. If there was something, because I know that my mind works in a really fucked up way, and I'll sometimes get all the way to something, give you like 85. Fuck it, man. I've given you like 99% sometimes, I know. And then, did you lose? Just fucking write a comment, or send me a fucking one of these. They'll be like, fuck, what, dude? The funny thing is, I missed a comment. I don't know who it was. Whoever left the last 2 comments, right as I hit fucking close broadcast, I saw the red dot, and I was like, oh. So don't leave any comments right at the end, because I'll miss them. But I will miss you folks. I really will. It'll be funny. What I may do, and I'll tell you what, we'll do it like this. Maybe I'll do a poll. Because what I could do over that time is make maybe at least one pre-recorded, kind of a shout out, just because when I do pre-records, they're very short, and maybe I'll just do one pre-record. So that wouldn't be too terribly hard to accomplish. I don't have to get anybody else's shit together, or anything like that. So stay lifted. God bless each and every one of you. As always, and I mean this, I don't say as always, I'm trying to always remember, like a good host of a show is supposed to. Each and every one of you are fucking badasses. To me, that means you're incredible people. I have a story, and everybody that talks to me one-on-one is like, oh, your story's incredible. And then I'm like, you don't have a story? And they'll be like, no. And I'm like, tell me this. And they're like, they have fucking stories. And I'm not talking to the vets. You guys know you have stories. I'm talking about people that I've talked to that tell me they don't have stories, when in fact, every fucking single one of us has to have a story, or you wouldn't be sitting in here. If you've been around for even 10 years, you've got a story to tell. Hell, if you've been around for 4 years, you probably have at least a small story to tell that goes back maybe 5 days. But it's a story nonetheless. Everybody's got a story. Everybody has purpose. Everybody has reason. Everything happens for a reason. I love each and every one of you. I think each and every one of you are incredible people. Until the next episode, I'm going to take one last hit. I did 2 dabs. I hit that one. You know what? I'll flounder that shit out, because I started with Twisted, and this motherfucker hits nice. I'm telling you, this one's like, it's got this, see this? I love the little snaky. Both of them kind of have a little thing going there with the snaky. I don't even know where this voice came from, Grizz. I don't know. It's just a weird wild voice. Next episode. See you.